to begin with, can you please give us an insight into your background before working on Besa?
Right. Again, I'm Norman Gershman. I currently live in a little town called Besa, Colorado, which is just down valley from Aspen, but originally from New York. My background is this: for many years, I've worked we've had our own executive search firm in Wall Street, and in addition to that, of course, I'm a photographer. And it's interesting because the people in Wall Street think of me as some sort of a hippie, and the people in the art world think of me as, oh, he's just some Wall Street guy that's playing around. So I don't fit in any one of those categories. But in photography, I've studied with the greats. I have, and when I was living in New York, into the wall, if they were alive, I sat at their feet, and I dealt in photographic art. I collected photographic art. And out of all of those years of working and studying, I developed my own style of photographing, which is primarily portraits. Though I do some landscapes, but portraits is what I do. And the name of our organization, the Eye Contact Foundation, is a photograph with eye contact, because it's the eyes that have the soul. You view the soul through one's eyes. So photography is not a hobby. It's more than that. It's far more than that. I don't charge my work. I choose my assignments, if you will. And generally they're humanistic. They call me a humanistic photographer. I don't photograph wars and murders and rapes and crap like that you see in the newspapers all the time. That's not what I do. I photograph people, good people. That's what I do. The world is filled with good people. That's what I photograph. So I've done, this is a long answer to one question, but I've done an awful lot of work in the former Soviet Union. A lot of work there. I got ready to speak Russian. I learned to speak Russian. I did a lot of work in Cuba. I do not photograph mountains and flowers and stuff like that. I'll leave that to other people. So that's essentially who I am. On the one hand, I'm a fine art photographer with exhibitions and my work all over the world, and at the same time, I'm the chairman of our own executive search company, which we do work in Wall Street, placing people in Wall Street. My son basically runs the business now, but I'm still involved. Well, I have two sons, and both of them are involved in the securities industry. So that's who I am. I mean, other things too. I also play a blues harmonica.
There's a saying in Albania, I'd rather see my son killed than break Besa.
Yes.
What is Besa?
Besa is a code of honor of the Albanian people, which is more than likely thousands of years old. It's very unique to the Albanian people. And that is this: if somebody knocks on one's door, an Albanian door, that person, the Albanian, has an absolute obligation to take that person in and protect him or her, no matter what, even at the risk of their lives. It's so strong, Bessa, that it's inconceivable for an Albanian to break their Bessa, because they would be ostracized in their village and probably even killed. So Bessa is, and I've said this before, Bessa is not just something that the Albanian people are imbued with. It's something the world needs, Bessa, that we are all brothers and sisters under the one divine. And that is the message. It's as manifested in the saving of Jews in Albania.
How did you discover the story of Albanians who saved the Jews during World War II, and what motivated you from then onwards to continue the work?
Okay. There's an organization called the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous in New York, and they support those non-Jews who saved Jews in World War II as defined by righteous, by Yad Vashem. Yad Vashem is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. And where there is evidence, yes, this family saved our lives on such and such days, and we stayed with them for 6 months, and I support, and it wasn't for them that we would not be alive today, where there's actual documentation, and then the Yad Vashem awards them the righteous amongst nations. It's a very important and very honored, and there's well over 1,800 families that are still alive that have been designated as righteous. Overall, approximately 25,000 non-Jews have been designated and honored with the title of righteous among the nations. Anyway, so that's when from the Jewish Foundation for the Righteous, they'd send out some brochures every so often. There was I remember one getting a brochure, and it was featuring this one woman who saved Jews, but she's in her wedding dress 60 years ago. So I contacted them with the idea of photographing those who are alive today. In the course of that conversation, they told me about Albania being primarily a Muslim nation. And I said, I want to do that. They had no interest. They said, look, we get the names from Yad Vashem, the righteous. We don't know if in Albania, we don't know if they're Catholic or Orthodox or Muslim. We don't know, and we don't care. That's when I went to Yad Vashem. And I was allowed into their files. And there's a whole story there, because even there in their files, you couldn't really tell who was righteous, who was a Muslim, who wasn't a Muslim, except by some names, Mohammed something or something like that. But while I was in Israel, Dr. Mordecai Paldiel, who headed the Righteous Program, introduced me to an organization called the Israeli Albanian Friendship Association. Families saved in Albania, Jewish families saved in Albania. They in turn put me in touch with an organization in Albania called the Albanian Israeli Friendship Association. And they knew where there are far, far many more families, Muslim families, that saved Jews in World War IV. And I might add something else, this is very important. If I met 10 families in the course of travel through both Albania as well as Kosovo, 7 would be Muslim families. 3 would be either Orthodox or Catholic. But I chose to focus on Muslims because in this day and age, who ever heard of a Muslim saving a Jew? And it's just never heard of it, much less Albania. Where the hell's Albania? Nobody knew anything about it. So the story of Albania and the saving of Jews, not some Jews, all Jews were saved in Albania. And the story of Besa on their code of honor is something the world needs. It just does.
There are so many acts of courage and creativity in your books, and you can see it in your photographs as well. For example, there are stories of Albanians who kept Jews safe in the infirmary, and there are also stories of even an entire village sheltering Jews who were persecuted in Germany. Is there any particular individual or a particular story that stood out for you?
Oh, there's so many.
Can you mention a few or one of them?
There are so many. As a matter of fact, what we've done, in addition to the book, there will be a full-length documentary on this work that will be premiered at film festivals all over the world, probably the end of this summer. And in there's one particular family that they're featuring, in addition to me going around and meeting all these different people and photographing these different families. And that is this. And there was a family from Bulgaria who was sheltered in Albania, in Tirana. And the son of the family that rescued these Jews is telling the story because his parents are dead. And that before leaving their safety with them in their home, they left 3 Hebrew books that they said, guard them with your eyes. I'll be back after the war to retrain. He couldn't travel with these books because people would know he's a Jew, and God knows what would happen to him. At any rate, They never came back. So this guy who's the son is telling me, I have this obligation, and on my father's deathbed, he gave me these books to find this family. Where are they? It's your responsibility now. And if you don't find them, it'll be your son's responsibility. Well, we took that story and said, well, how can we help? We knew their names. We knew they were from Bulgaria. We hired investigators to go to Bulgaria, into their town where they were married. There's an old synagogue. It's a ruin right now. We found wedding certificates. We found evidence of no family. Mm-hmm. Through luck, through whatever you may want to call it, we were hosting, one of the members of our board was hosting a young Jewish Israeli soldier. This is only 2-3 years ago. And we told him the story, can you help us in some way? We don't know what they may bring us. Within 24 hours, he found them in Israel. The son, Aran, who at the time was 10 years of age. And we contacted Aran. This is part of the movie. We contacted Aran. He hung the phone up. Contacted him, he hung the phone up. Yad Vashem contacted him, he hung the phone up. We finally got hold of his son and told his son about, we have these books that Aran's father had given this family as safekeeping. We want to return the books. And then the story continues where we bring this Albanian guy who's never been out of Albania with the Hebrew books, and he brings them to Aran. And I doubt if there's a dry eye in the audience when you see that the emotional response from Aran, because he never told his wife, he never told anybody about this experience. So that's a wonderful, wonderful story.
From the families that you spoke to, what do they remember about the experience? I mean, 60 years or 70 years later, what stayed with them in particular?
Are you talking about the families that saved Jews?
Yes.
Well, the Albanian people are very modest people. No one is looking for glory. No one is looking for money. When we would visit a family, they knew we were coming, and the extended family would be there. Everyone would be there, the cousins, everything, and they were very proud of what their parents may have done. In some cases, what the elderly woman was there, or in some cases, the elderly man was there, perhaps in his late 80s or early 90s. Very proud of what they did, and they would do it again under their Besa. Again, seeking nothing. Nobody says, how about giving me some money? Nothing, whatever. Just the idea of being honored again and remembered. And what I always did with every family that I met, I always thanked them on the part of the Jewish people for saving the Jews.
And when you asked the families, what was it? Was it Bessa? Was it the Quran? What was it that made them risk everything to save the Jews? What was the Jewish? What was their response to this?
Because I always asked that question. In other words, when I would go into a family, I would find the final question. I always say, "Well, tell me, what is it? Was it Bessa? Was it the Quran? What was it that you risked everything? Your family risked everything to save, in many cases, strangers. Why? What'd you do it for?" And they would respond in different ways. One family said, "There is no Bessa without the Quran. There is no Quran without Bessa." Another family said, to save a life is to go to paradise. All Jews are our cousins. We were saving God's children. Another family said that. Very poetic. And some said, look, the religion of Albania is Albania. Another one said, look, well, of course I would save him. Chaim was my partner in business. Of course I would save him. So there were different responses, but the overall response was inspiration of their religion and Besa. It's integrated, if you will, in their beliefs. in their belief system. I mean, you don't find the word Bessa in the Quran, right? But and so from the point of view of from an academic point of view, well, the Bessa is this and it's thousands of years old, has nothing to do with the Quran. In reality, it does, because people, again, as I said, incorporated Bessa into there and inspired with their religion in Bessa. It's one and the same.
And were there any criticisms directed at your project from?
Well, there's always criticisms. I mean,
in particular, one that stood out for you?
Well, there is, for instance, as an example, Albania is surrounded by enemies, or they're perceived enemies. Serbia, as an example, when Serbia was rampaging through Kosovo, 300,000 to 400,000 ethnic Albanians, because they are ethnic Albanians, were sheltered in Albania. I think they called me the Albanian Jew. Some of the Serbs. But I mean, surprisingly enough, some people say there's a lot of prejudice in the world. There's a lot of ignorance in the world. Why should I support a bunch of Arabs? You're all Arabs. They're nuts. I mean, people just don't know. You run into that. You do. There's a perception, and a growing perception, that there's something inherent in the radicalization of Islam. Matter of fact, there's something happening in the United States where there's a new Republican congressman who's going to have hearings on the radicalization of American Muslims. So it's McCarthy all over again. McCarthy years, it's crazy. And I often say this, that just like all Jews are moneylenders, and all Christians are crusaders, all Muslims are terrorists. It's crazy. It's paranoia. It's nuts. And that's what we're living through right now. Will it pass? Of course it'll pass. Reminds me of, just substitute the word Islam for communists. The communists were going to take over the world, and the domino theory, and 50,000 American soldiers died in Vietnam. It's a good thing because we were saving the world from communism, right? Wrong.
And what effect did this project have on you?
Well, I do, there's a word in Yiddish, I do a mitzvah. It's good deeds. I do good deeds. I photograph good people. And to the degree I'm not looking for glory. I'm not running for office, any political office or anything like that, and I'm not getting paid to do this. No, you can't buy me. But when there's a wrong in the world, I want to right it, or write it in R-I-G-H-T. The other thing you should know is this: even though I am a Jew, and clearly I'm Jewish, absolutely no doubt about me being a Jew, I'm a Sufi. Worked with the Sufis for years. So to me, being a Sufi is dance and poetry and music and beauty and gentleness. And you don't need a gatekeeper with the Sufis. You can have a direct experience with the divine by being in the moment. That's being a Sufi. So what I read in the papers, Muslims doing this, and it's crazy. I don't know those people. That was my background. It's a Sufi background. My daughter married her husband at a Sufi retreat, and she'll be here coming the end of this week. So it's and studying Rumi and even I don't whirl like they do in Turkey with the whirl, but I can. And my daughter's a wonderful belly dancer. So it's not odd. It's beautiful. Well, the religion is beautiful. I'll say something else of it. If anybody denigrates Islam, they're denigrating their own religion, because in Islam they incorporate and embrace Christianity as well as the Torah, right? Of course. So it's all encompassing. So I'm very much at peace with Islam.
And although the project uncovers the past, I cannot help but feel that it also has very important, relevant, it's also very relevant for today, especially considering that the Jewish-Muslim relations are very tense and fraught. What is your message?
Well, it is a message, and what we are doing, we're doing something about it. We're not just sitting back and say, oh, isn't things terrible? No. We're just embarking on a major educational project in the United States, first in the United States, where it'll be in and around Holocaust Memorial Day, where we're preparing lesson plans for middle and high school kids, and even college students as well, regarding the great religion that Islam is, and the manifestation of that compassion within the region in the saving of Jews in Albania. We're doing that. We're creating well over 5, and we're starting with the New York City school system in the fall of this year, and we're preparing well over 5,000 lesson plans going to different schools, all school districts all through the United States, and also in London, and or actually in England as well. They want to do it too. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it not because we're advocating a position. It's advocating the truth. Big difference.
And what does Islam mean to you? You mentioned it before, but briefly, what does it mean to you, Islam?
Well, I don't walk around as an Islamist.
Yeah.
I embrace the Sufi tradition. To live in the moment, to be in the moment, is to be with the divine. So it's not easy to be in the moment. Whether you can be in sports or whatever, you got to be in the moment. So we're all Sufis in some way, shape, or form. And Islam is. I mean, how many? And I often say this as well. How many terrorists, reputed terrorists, are there that are Muslim terrorists? 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. There are 2 billion Muslims in the world. It's crazy. So it's a wonderful religion. Do I want to become a Muslim? No. Am I to a degree? Yes, through my Sufi tradition. So it flows. I don't have to deny this to become that. No.
Amazing. I think your work is amazing.
Thank you.
I've had a look for your photography and your book, and hopefully I congratulate you for your success and wish you the best of luck for your
Thank you so
upcoming
much.
tours.
Thank you.
For this